We are live once again with Coffee with Humans with my new friend, Justin Vajko. Justin, welcome to Coffee with Humans.
Thanks, Jason. Good to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you here too. And I noticed when you got on the podcast, you looked like I did about a year ago. I grew my beard out during the wintertime because somebody's like, hey, you might look good with a longer beard. And so I did, only my beard is white and I look 80 years old.
So you're going for the Gandalf look, I see.
Yeah, I'm not old enough to be a sage yet, but I do have a balding head. But today it was particularly cold up here in Northern Illinois, and I've been cold all day, so I put a beanie on because it makes me look young and cool.
Is that the trick? I got to go do that now.
Or unprofessional. I don't know. I've not decided on on what it is. You're in the Wisconsin area though, so it's cold for you too today.
It is cold, although it's a very warm. It's a weird warm winter. Like it's going to be 40s the next 10 days in Wisconsin, and that's weird. It should be in the 30s this time of year. So we won't have any snow for Christmas. We'll just have dead leaves, dead grass. Actually, not even dead grass because it's still green. It's not even not cold enough to die. So it's very strange to have green grass on Christmas in Wisconsin.
I was going to say, it is pretty green outside. Today we got a little dusting of snow, but I'm disappointed when we don't get snow for Christmas. What about you?
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, there's something, you can't, you're listening to, White Christmas and you're like, it's not White Christmas. That's just very strange. It's like when you watch the movies and then people have, like in LA, they have like decorated palm trees. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of how it feels. It's like, man, it's supposed to be White Christmas.
I agree. Well, I got to get this question out of the way. What would inspire you to click a button to have coffee with me?
I love having conversations with people and wanted to just have a conversation. When I do these kinds of conversations, I've been on a lot of podcasts. I find it does two things. One, obviously, people may learn about me, may learn about my business and choose to do business with me. But another thing I've learned is it's really helpful for just kind of processing one's thoughts. And I don't know, there's something about being live in a conversation about whatever, usually business in this case, but that allows me to like get these little eureka moments. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to write that down. Let me go. Why haven't I done that? Or that's a great talking point. There's something about a live conversation that brings out really cool talking points that I can build off of later on if I want to do content around it. A couple of reasons there. Also, you're a pretty cool dude because from a previous conversation helped me out. So that'd be good to reconnect.
I feel like it's kind of like doing stand-up.
What? You have to have jokes?
Doing a live conversation.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
See?
I've never done stand-up, though, so I can't speak to that.
I keep thinking I might. And then I'm like, what's the point of that?
Do you have jokes ready?
I don't.
Okay. Yeah, that would be bad if you tried it without jokes. Just stand up there.
I have been curious though. What is Seinfeld is famous for his write a joke a day, and he would check it off on a calendar. And lots of people have stolen that idea.
I've never heard of that.
He stole from somebody else. Yeah. But the idea of like you're going to get good at something, just do a little bit every day. Whether if you're going to be a writer, write every day. If you're going to be an artist, paint something every day. If you're going to be a jokester, comedian, then write a joke every day, and you will become better at that just by doing repetition. The first time's the worst time. So you got to get the first time out of the way.
Yep. Yeah, that's truth. You're speaking my language. I talk to people about video like that all the time. Like, anyway, video is a skill. It's not a talent. Only way you're going to get better is just putting your reps in. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah. We actually, this came up on a recent conversation. There's the idea of overnight success. Nobody's an overnight success. There's only overnight attention.
Oh, that's a good one. There's no such thing overnight success, just overnight attention. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've heard those. I've seen that too. He was an overnight success. Only took him 10 years.
Right. Yeah, and was it Robert Greene? I don't know. I think there's a Robert Greene. And I came across a video of his recently where he talked about the idea of power and how power is developed. Like power in terms of like security and developed only over time. It's never developed instantaneously.
Mm.
And so when the power flows naturally to a person in the room through respect or whatever,
Mm.
that the only true respect or true power is that which is developed over time. It's similarly to a tree. You know, trees grow very slowly. Fast trees tend to fall faster than
Yeah.
trees that over slowly over time. And you can see it in the rings too, in the rings of development. And that tree is unnoticeable in a 5-year-old forest or a 10-year-old forest. But that tree that has been there for many, many years becomes noticeable as you walk past it, and it has some staying power. People are probably, I think Robert was making reference that people are similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You get become the oak tree in the young forest. You won't stand out in the beginning, but you will later on. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you talked about a handful of things, but when you signed up, you there were a couple questions. One of which was,
I don't remember these at all, by the way. You're gonna hit me with this is all brand new. It's since I signed up because I've had a baby and my brain is mush.
"That's true, you did have a baby." Well, your wife had a baby.
My wife had the baby. Yeah, that'd be weird if I didn't.
But I think it was one of the questions in there. It's kind of like, what would you name this chat? And it was kind of like, what's been on your mind recently? And you
Yeah.
said the pivot,
Mm-hmm.
and then you said not your last. And I'm always curious when people name their discussions and talk about what's top of mind.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
the pivot?
Why the pivot? All right. So full candor. I wrote this 2 months ago. You said what was on your mind. That was like a month or two. So I have to so it's not top of mind anymore. Top of mind right now is actually sleep. I need more of it. But back then, so yeah. Okay. So when I wrote that and still now I get where I'm coming from, where I was coming from. Been doing business for 5 years and just pivoted a lot and finally found the one that I think hit the right market, right time, right price, right offer. Just took a while.
So you pivoted before then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got burned out pivoting. Almost got burned out pivoting. I felt burned out pivoting. Let's put it that way. Like I remember earlier this year in January, January of 2022, or in January 2023, I was like, man, again. I remember thinking that so many times, like, again, do I have to do this again? But I mean, it's kind of like when you run a marathon, and you're like, oh, 5 more miles, really? I've never run a marathon, but I can imagine that's what it's like. Or when you're doing anything that's tiring and you look up or maybe looking at the clock and you're like, really, there's an hour left of this task. So that's kind of how I felt. And I decided, let me give this all I've got because I think this is where the market's at. People are telling me you should go here. First time in years that people had told me that after, because it was always my idea. Oh, I think this will be great. And then it turned out to be nothing in business, like, oh, I think if I do this for this one audience, it'll be great. And you do a little bit of research and you're in that audience, you're working in that niche for a while and you realize there's no money here or there's no demand for this or whatever. And so this was the first time I'd had in a very long time where I started getting customers before I even had an offer. And, I realized I gotta pivot to this because this is where the money's at. This is where the opportunity's at. And yeah, still gonna continue to pivot, right? So when I say pivot, I mean so I run a marketing agency, been doing marketing 13 years and done a bunch of marketing for a bunch of people different ways, like recruitment marketing, employer branding, been doing that, still do that. But earlier this year I had an opportunity to shave off a part of what I was doing and just create a scalable service around it, which was how do I help people create more consistent video content, short form video content, so they can grow their reach and grow their awareness. And I hadn't really ever done that. I'd done video for a while. And so I created an offer around that and got a few reps in, got people to try it. And then that's where I'm at. That's where I am today. And still offering that. And it's evolved a lot over the last 12 months now since I started. But that's where that second part of that sentence comes from. Found the pivot and then pivoting again. So it's like you figure out the big change and then you make the micro changes as you go along. And that's where I'm at right now. And then inevitably, I'm sure there will be a day where I have to make further changes because that's the nature of business these days. Nothing stays the same. Certainly not in social media, which is where all our videos end up. So,
yeah, I'm curious as an entrepreneur myself. and I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and so I'm very super curious about your insights on this.
Hmm.
Um, Pivoting is difficult for people because they tend to get stuck on an idea and an
Yeah.
implementation of that idea,
Yeah.
and hold to that because because there's also this balance of a voice that says I got to stick to it,
Yep. Right.
because if I stick to it long enough,
The
then
oak
I'm going
tree.
to stumble on gold, right?
Right.
Like the oak tree. Or I've seen this image where, a person is being, there's this image of a miner, and they're just like
Mhm.
hacking away at this mine underground. And the picture is that the unsuccessful person gives up
Right
right
before.
before they hit the
I've
gold,
seen that. Yeah.
right? And I'm curious how you balance when to stick to something and when to say there's no gold here.
Well, that's the other picture, right? As you're talking, they give up right before they hit the gold. What about the guy who goes right past the gold and just keeps going and there's nothing there? So, right, there's always that tension entrepreneurs have to live within when they're developing a new offer for a new audience or either one of those. Um, I didn't do a very good job of stick to itiveness for the 5 years I was in business. There was one offer I was making, and it's still there. It's still something I do, but pivoted away from that, which is recruitment marketing and employer branding work. So helping employers do video, social posts, graphic design, flyers, and promote their jobs, but in a more proactive way rather than just, we're hiring, which is what everyone's saying. So just kind of taking a holistic approach to that. And I was giving that its due diligence, and that was working really well. So that was like kind of finding the gold, and you're like, oh, there's money to be had here. There's a business to be built. Until you realize you start digging in, and I was discovering that 3 years in now into this market, it's a lot of custom work. And I read this book by John Warlow called Built to Sell. And in it, it's funny because he actually talks. The protagonist of this book, the main character, is a marketing agency owner, and he's burned out because he's doing everything for everybody, and he's got turnover, and he's got onboarding, and he doesn't. And so he finds his mentor, and who's been there, done that, sold his business, and he says, "How do I get to sell my business?" And mentor looks at his business and says, "You can't sell this business. This is an unsellable business." And he says, "Well, why? There's all this value. There's all this money." And the mentor says, "Well, you're doing everything for everyone. You're in all the details because everything's custom work, and custom work means it's just, if you lose Susie, she takes that big chunk of the business with her because it was all on her shoulders because it's all custom." So the mentor says you got to build this scalable service business. And so the book actually unpacks what that looks like, and it was eye-opening for me. One of the top 3 books I now recommend to new entrepreneurs, because I realized building a business isn't as simple as just getting money. You got to make sure you're building something that, if you want an asset, right, a business asset, like a sellable asset, you got to have something that's scalable. And what that means is something you can walk away from if you can one day. You can sell it, or you can just walk away and start something else. And it was very inspiring. And I realized, oh wow, I'm not protagonist. I have a custom everything for everyone, and that was the recruitment marketing stuff, because it's very nitty gritty, and the clients all need different things. And so I started reading that book. I started reading or looking for what's the scalable service I can do. I had all these ideas. I'd be graphic design, be websites, because I've done everything for everyone. How do you pick one thing for one niche? And that's where I came across this video product a year ago now, November, December of last 2022. And somebody hired me to do remote video production. So just do remote video interviewing, and then take that file and then edit it and then send it back to the client, and they can publish it for social media. And that was the start of the inspiration of realizing, wait, this is something that a lot of people want, because short form video is growing and exploding. And so the last year, to answer your question, the last year, I've realized there is some form of a gold nugget over here that I could continue digging into, but it's not going to be very fun. This is a very, it's a mix. We can mix metaphors, but this is like yeah, we found the mother lode, but it is spread far and wide, and you gotta chisel, and it's messy, and there's tons of dust. And do I want to be digging this kind of gold, or do I want to go find something else that's more satisfying to extract? And so over the last year, that's what I've been trying to build. And my mantra for the last year has been trust the process. So like that one minor, you mentioned, trust the process. We're getting deeper. The mother load is there, and it's working. It's the first time I've had to use that mantra for myself in business, and it has yielded so much good fruit. It's just a cool thing when you when you develop something people want, and then you trust the process and you keep offering it and refining it and working on that for a long period of time. I could talk more about that, but that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. I think a lot of entrepreneurs never get to that point of either relaxing into the process, because I think people get concerned that they don't have the right process because it appears to not be working. Some people start with no process at all, because they didn't even know they needed one. And that in and of itself is a process of discovery. Then when you find the process, trusting that is a difficult step, particularly for an entrepreneur who thinks that, I've got this great idea and everybody's going to fall in love with it. You throw it out in the marketplace and you find nobody cares, or they didn't know. And, there's a whole, there's all of these questions that enter, I think, an entrepreneur's mind. And I think, and people deal with this in different ways, but I've heard recently that one of the best ways to develop personally is to be an entrepreneur, because it really
100%.
taxes your soul.
Yep.
In ways that other people don't experience.
When I write a book someday, I'm going to talk about that very thing. How the most growth I ever experienced in my life across the board, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, came as a direct result of choosing the entrepreneur life. I was asked recently in the last few weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was in a coaching program, mastermind, and the leader, Mo Choice, by the way, great guy. Check him on LinkedIn. British guy. He said, what are the top 5 achievements you have in your life? And I was like, oh, that's a great question. So I spent some time thinking about it, and I realized, I wrote them down. And then he asked, what's the theme? What'd you discover with those achievements? And I realized 4 out of the 5 achievements, biggest achievements in my life, they came in the last 5 years. In those last 5 years, and I could trace back every one as a direct result of choosing to be an entrepreneur. So like getting paying clients with a new offer from nothing, all these things. The most things I was most proud of came as a direct result of trusting the process, I guess you could say, back then, and trusting my ability to put food on the table rather than my employers, and trusting that they're going to be there for me. Nothing wrong with that for those who choose that, but the most growth I've experienced, to your point, has come from a direct result of choosing to be an entrepreneur. And how do I make this work? And how do I grow? Oh, that's a weak area. How do I mitigate that? How do I grow in that area? How do I leverage my strengths and all those fun things you do when you're an entrepreneur?
What do you think the thread is when you look back? If 80% plus of your best moments have come from that one pivot,
right,
we'll say back in the day, what is the thread that has been common to that development, if it's been so concentrated in these last couple of years?
Yeah, it's funny. He asked the same question. So I know this. It's like, it's courage. It's making the right decision over and over, and not shrinking back from what needs to be done. For example, I got married 4 years ago. So I'm an entrepreneur 5 years ago, got married 4 years ago. One of the decisions I made was to be a better dad, because I realized my wife, she brought coaching into the parenting. I was like, okay, well, I can choose to do it the old way and yell and ignore things until they're a problem and then yell, right? This the old school way, like don't bother me until it's too bad, and then I'll come down hard. Or I can choose to embrace it. And so that was uncomfortable. That was an uncomfortable decision to do that. That was the one that was not tied directly to entrepreneurship. All the other ones were, if I create an offer, it's going to fail. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they were all had to do with, I have a decision to make and I need to do this, even if it makes me uncomfortable for a while, even if the money's not there right away, even if the customers aren't there right away, even if people don't believe in what I'm doing, even if I don't, that the imposter syndrome is like screaming in my head every day for X amount of months before I get things going. that was, courage was I'd say the main theme, choosing to make the decision even though I was afraid to make it.
Courage. That's a deep. I think that's a deeper word than people give it credit for.
Mm.
We throw around this idea, hey, it's so courageous. um, but I think it involves a lot of different. Not sure how to think about this. Whether it's feeders into courage or whether it's things
Mm.
released by courage. It's sort of like gratitude. When we can be thankful, have this feeling of gratitude, that opens up other things in our lives,
Mhm.
like patience and love and joy and all these things, just by being thankful. And until we're thankful, some of those other qualities just can't develop in our lives, I think.
Mm.
Right? Like, how can I be patient now if I'm not thankful for now? How can I love
Mm.
now if I'm not thankful for now?
Yeah.
Right? So I think courage operates in much the same way. Um, that there are elements of courage or elements of our lives that are developed when we choose to step in
Mhm.
to this. I don't know, this black box called courage, or maybe those are the feeders into it. Things like, I recognize my responsibility and I look it in the face and I
Mhm.
move and make a decision. When a person's an entrepreneur, I find that the decision carries a different weight because the decision is mine. And when I'm a an employee,
Yeah.
I can always say, well,
Oh,
it
my
wasn't
my
my
boss
job,
or corporate, or you can,
right?
shift
Somebody told me, right?
shift the responsibility, shift the growth or the opportunity to grow. Yeah. Yeah. All sorts of things. Yeah.
I think that's where it lies. It lies in the acceptance of responsibility, and then maybe that point of courage is, now I make the decision to be responsible for this. It rises and falls on me to some degree, at
Yeah.
least. Maybe on the marketplace, or maybe I misread the marketplace.
Mhm.
I remember when I started my first, I call it my first real company, because I had dreamed about companies before then and made
Mm.
logos and all sorts of stuff and made tiny amounts of money. But started an e-commerce company with a buddy of mine 20 something years ago, and 25, I don't know, something like that. And I remember that I sold that after 8 or 9 years, and twice, I think, I have to replay it in my head, but I think it was twice I had to lay off like 80% of the staff
Mm.
because of miscalculations. Number
Mm.
one, misread the marketplace, and all these people that we had hired a year earlier, boom, they all had to go because we were like, we had ran out of money. Um, and then we were like, oh shit, we don't know how to read financial statements. And so then we started reading, then we had to develop that skill.
Right.
And then,
New skill alert.
yeah.
You have to
And
learn
then
the
we
hard
had
way.
a vendor that pulled out the rug from underneath of us. It was something we didn't have control over. Marketplace,
Mhm.
the market came in and
Yeah.
swept us away in a, but we had assets and resources and recovered from that. And each time, not only did we get smarter and more experienced because we evaluated how we got to that point. We did like an after action report,
Mhm.
but we uh, we used that to then fuel the next stage of what was to come
Yeah.
for us. And I think that's that process of maybe getting used to, and if it makes sense, kind of falling in love with the idea of the pivot is necessary.
Pivot is necessary, which is, courage is one thing, but if you, as you're talking, you realized courage comes from awareness of needing to make a decision. And then sometimes, this is myself. Sometimes I don't want to be aware, right? That awareness of, I'm just going to ignore this. I'm going to keep plowing ahead, to use your analogy again. I'm just going to keep digging and digging and digging because I'm prideful, because I'm afraid, or whatever. So the courage comes in only after you're aware, I need to make a different decision because what's happening isn't working, or it's not working the way I'd like it to be. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, are burned out and stuck where they are because they don't have they don't have that. Maybe they have the awareness, but they don't have the courage to continue fighting for, growth in their life, or maybe they don't have the awareness. They got blind spots.
Yeah. I think also, adding to that, I think it's important that entrepreneurs not go the road alone,
Yeah,
because
absolutely not.
it's a it is a difficult, dangerous road.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I've hired my first year in business. I spent $8,000 on a coaching program because I knew I was I was on, because it was just myself. I
Yeah.
was selling logos and websites at that time, 5 years ago, 2018, fall of 2018. I went out on my own, and I realized very quickly, I don't know a lot about a lot. I need to invest. And I took money out of retirement savings. It ended up costing me way more than $8,000 because you're not supposed to do that. You get a penalty from the government. But I believed in it. I thought, if I can invest this money in my business now, how much more will this yield for me down the road if I do it right? And outgrow my retirement savings in the end. And I was glad I did that. And then I invested in coaches after that and consultants after that. And over the years, really have had, in the last year especially, have had a coach with me, business coach, and really thankful for him and the perspective and the encouragement that I get. And different communities as well. I'm in a couple different mastermind groups. And if you're not doing that as an entrepreneur, you are missing out on, man, you're going to be lonely, and you're going to miss out on growth and potentially growing your business the way you actually want to, because you don't know what you don't know. Other people do, though.
Yeah. Which is the purpose for Coffee with Humans, that we'd simply connect and have a conversation with a person that we didn't necessarily know, 20 minutes, half hour before.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is a skill that entrepreneurs can or should push into the idea of connecting with somebody, because you never know who you're going to need along the way.
Yeah.
And when you connect with people, you never know where that's going to take you.
Mm-hmm.
So get in love or fall in love with not only, I think, the pivot, like you're talking about, know when it's time to move mine in a new place, but also continually connect with new and varied individuals to get new perspectives, because you might find that somebody has some magic sonar and can point you into where you should be mining when you didn't know, because you're new to the game. So maybe mentorship is the word. I don't know.
Yeah, mentorship or just community, surrounding yourself with people who know, smarter people than you. Don't be afraid of that too. I've done that a few times. Reached out to people who knew more than me and paid them money, and hey, I don't know what I don't know. Help me out.
Yeah.
And it's been invaluable over the years getting that. And I will continue to spend money on developing myself, because I know that's where, if I invest in myself, the business will succeed.
Good words. Well, I've got a game for us to play.
Okay.
We're gonna take a little pause here in our deep discussion. I've heard that you're an excellent artist.
What?
I didn't hear that, but you know what? If you went into this thinking you're a terrible artist, you're not gonna do well. So
yeah. Okay.
So I've got a cool game called Whatchamadraw It,
Okay.
which is actually a card game, super fun.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna throw an example on the screen, and just to describe to you what's going to happen here, and then we'll move to the next one. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pull up a card on the screen. Now, I don't even know what these cards are. I chose a random deck.
Okay.
But I'll put up on the screen here, and I'm gonna start a timer on my phone that we can use. If I was cooler, we'd have a timer on the computer, but I'm not that cool. All right, so I've got a 1-minute timer. So I'll click the button. Boom. Up's gonna come a phrase. I don't know what the phrases are, so don't be like, hey, you drew so much better than me because you knew it was coming. I don't know it's coming. Okay. And then we'll show each other our images, and we can vote on who.
We can vote. 1v1. Who's the other? Yeah.
I know, right?
We need a tiebreaker.
All right. So draw a person with super long legs, super short arms, super big mouth, right? So you kind of know what you might think about that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I'm going to pull up the next one here, and I'm going to start my timer at the same time.
Okay. 1 minute, huh?
You know what? I've got, I can pull up music too. What? That's what I'm talking about. Probably some jazz music. Jazz makes sense for this.
Yeah, jazz is great. The generic brand of music everyone loves. I lost your audio.
You lost my audio?
Yeah, your voice.
All right. Okay, sounds good. Well, I'll play that jazz music while we go. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Here we go. Okay, you got 10 seconds left.
Okay.
Oh geez. This is not I don't know how this is going. I started on a little path and then it okay. Okay. All right. That's it. It's over.
All right, I'm ready. It's not good, but I'm ready.
That's okay. It's all right. Everything's good here on Coffee with Humans. All right. Well, because I drug you into this and didn't give you a heads up about even what game we were going to play today, I'll go first just to eliminate any anxieties. I want you to be anxious.
Oh, I'm not anxious. It's just funny.
All right, here we go. This is a special phone that can only call superheroes.
What?
I don't
What
know.
is the why does it look like a bug?
Because I started off with this weird angle up here, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I thought a superhero phone would be like a superhero itself.
Oh, that's clever. I like
cool.
that. Mine's not clever like that.
I don't know.
You need to put a cape on him, and then I would instantly know what that is. It's a superhero phone.
Oh, right, because this looks like you've been bugged.
Yeah, it looks like a bug. But if you put a cape on him, you're good. Well, mine is just good old fashioned rotary phone here. Let's see. Get this to. No, it's not showing up. Hold on. There we go. Good old fashioned rotary phone with a Superman S on it. That is it. Not creative. I couldn't think like how do you put all the superhero logos on one phone? All I had time. You said 10 seconds. Like crap. All I have time for is Superman. So that's why Superman's the only one getting called with this phone.
Everything needs context. Yes.
But the problem with this phone is that no Gen Z is going to know how to use it because what is this?
Have you seen those videos of people with they get the Gen Z gets rotary phones or they get something from there like what do
we do with this? What is this? Yeah. The React videos, those are great.
I love it. All right. You ready for another one?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh shoot, I lost my marker.
Uh-oh. At least you didn't lose your marbles.
Right. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start the timer and then I'll get the music on. All right. Yeah. Draw a planet where people walk upside down. Planet where people walk upside down. Here we go. All right, we are out of time. It's over. You
I'm
got
ready.
pens down. All
I'll
right.
start this time.
This was not good.
All right. That's hard. A minute to draw something like that. Because you got to picture it, and then you can figure what angle do I want, and then you got to actually execute, and executions would take longer.
Oh, I know.
All right.
It's bad. All right.
All right. So I've just got a road stick, guys, is what I've got here. So one guy's greeting the other, says, "Hey, Bob," and Bob's walking his dog. His dog's upside down too. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Very. You got a pen. I got to get a bit thicker pen, maybe make it easier.
That's good. I like that. Well done. Okay, so I think yours is much more proportional than mine. Mine didn't make any sense, so I have captions. I have captions just to make sure
captions.
people
Okay.
know what's going on. All right, so mine. Hold on. Let's see here. Boop. There we go. Okay. Oh, it's not backwards either. So there are people that have feet on their heads. And,
oh wow.
This one says, "I'm walking upside down," just in case you didn't know. And then nice head feet.
Nice head feet. Wow, that would be interesting. So what are their real feet used for? That's what I want to know. I could see all sorts of versions where what if their legs like went over and carry them like a spider and they're just like walking along like this. Yeah.
That would make more sense.
Now, Steve, we can have a whole there could be a whole series of give
I
us
feel
more
like we're
time
into some solid brainstorming here about the future.
exactly.
All right, one more here, and then we'll get back to our
grab a new piece of paper here.
Our serious business.
Yeah. Very serious.
Let's see here. Okay. I gotta find my there we go. I got my music choice. All right. Here we go. And draw a bag with no corners. What? Draw a bag with no corners.
Huh. So basically a pillow? No, pillows have corners. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. The time is up. Draw a bag with no corners.
All right. That seems pretty easy to me. That doesn't take much creative thought to picture that, but I'm curious what you came up with.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought right out of the gate. And then I thought maybe it doesn't make sense. A lot of questioning going on here. A lot of imposter syndrome about this. I feel bad.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go or you want me to go?
Sure. I'll go first. So I got this guy here.
Oh, there you go. That's 3D even.
Yeah.
And it has no corners.
No corners.
See. All right. We'll see.
Because I thought, well, even a round corner could be a corner, but so I had to really be careful.
I think you are really onto something there. I kind of went the same direction. Not as good. In fact, I have a little thing. I have a flea.
Another caption.
He's describing where's the corner. So that's flea. More of a It doesn't even look like a bag. I know.
No, it's a prototype. It's an MVP bag. You're good.
Every entrepreneur needs an MVP. Well, I'll pivot. I'll pivot from this terrible representation of a bag into something more meaningful.
I love games like that.
Which is probably your bag. Your bag looked a lot better than mine. So I think I hesitate to say this because I don't want you to get a big head, but I'm going to give this game to you. You won the game.
Woo! What do I win?
Eternal glory.
Wow.
I know.
My life purpose has been achieved in one session here.
Yeah, we don't jack around on Coffee with Humans. It's eternal glory or nothing.
Appreciate that, Jason.
All right. Well, we have a couple more minutes here to wind this thing down. So you're at dialoguewith.us, and what is it that you do? Give it to me straight.
Yeah, we help entrepreneurs get leads with short form video. And when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, video. Oh, I gotta write a script. Oh, I gotta read the script. Oh, I gotta teleprompters and technology and editing." No, all we do is just like this. We interview you in a conversation once a month. We pull that information out of you like a good reporter does, make you feel comfortable on screen. And we take that recording and we edit that and post it and publish it for you with your approval, of course, looking at the content ahead of time. And that's where we say one conversation a month gives you 10 plus videos for social media. And the goal is lead generation within 3 months. You start attracting ideal fit clients.
Wow. What a great idea.
Thank you. That's the pivot I talked about. Getting to that point took a year, and then getting that point took previous 4 years.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. It's the journey, and embracing the journey, I think, is if a person could take one good rule for life, just embrace the journey.
That's true. Don't think it's going to be someday.
Fight the journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good reminder. I think there's been plenty of times in the last 5 years. I'm like, when am I going to make it? When am I going to be okay? And to your point, I've had to remember, hold on, I'm going to look back on this in 10 years and be like, those were such good days. I had my kids around me, and, my wife and I were young, and I could actually go and run and whatever, I should be more present and enjoy the journey, like you're saying.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us with Coffee with Humans today. This is, it's great to reconnect with you, get to know you more. And also congratulations on the eternal glory, which has been bestowed upon you.
Thank you.
Through the Whatchamadrawit game. This is not sponsored by Whatchamadrawit, but it's a game, and you should probably play it. It's, if you're looking for a last minute Christmas gift, Whatchamadrawit.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, to all our viewers and listeners, this is Coffee with Humans, a unfiltered conversation where a stranger becomes a friend. You can sign up yourself at coffeewithhumans.com, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Jason.
One of the things I love about Coffee with Humans are the raw conversations I get to have, meeting new people just like you. If you or someone you know should be on Coffee with Humans, go to coffeewithhumans.com. Remember, the only rule is no sales calls. This has been Coffee with Humans. Subscribe to get updates or click to have coffee with me. coffeewithhumans.com.